Hello. When my daughter was 11, we bought her a budgie for her birthday. She called him Quaver. We were all busy working or at school, so we felt we couldn't have a dog, and I'm not really a cat person. Claire taught Quaver to speak. I've heard other people's budgies speak, but always had to ask what they were saying. Quaver spoke really clearly. Anybody could understand what he said. Time to get up, shut the door, what's the time? He had an extensive vocabulary. All praise to Claire, who had a real, and she still has, affinity with birds and animals. I found her chatting once to a blackbird that was sitting on her windowsill. Now she has 2 cats, and some years ago she had 6. Last week she and her husband abandoned a week in the lakes because one of the cats, Sancho, was limping. They had to keep an eye on him. Usually Sancho and Panzer are able to fend for themselves, but a neighbour keeps a watch over them and tops up their food and water when their owners are away. Some years ago, when we were at the Albert Hall, Claire was worried about Avi, one of her cats at the time, who was quite old, and she had a bad feeling about him. As they were in London working, there was nothing they could do. A phone call came whilst we were with them. Avi had died. We were all very sad, but Claire and Peter were in tears. When Quaver died at the grand old age of 11, Claire was away at university and we had the sad job of burying him. And when I told some of my teaching colleagues at the time, they laughed at my distress. It was only a budgie. Our pets mean so much to us, don't they? They rely on us to care for them. Some people don't care for animals. It's our choice whether or not we want to welcome a dog, cat or bird into our home, but we've heard such awful stories recently of dogs being stolen, animals being treated cruelly, people owning really unsuitable creatures and then releasing them into the wild. The RSPCA is an amazing organisation, and we had to contact them once a couple of years ago when we were in Stratford and we saw a lady with 6 dogs all off the lead, and one rushed into the water near the theatre and attacked some beautiful ducks, and one died. In Proverbs 12, verse 10, we read, "A righteous person knows the needs of his beast, but the compassion of the wicked is cruelty." In Exodus chapter 23, "If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey goes astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him." These biblical quotations are 2 of many about caring for creatures. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 20 to 25, we can read how God created all living creatures. And then in verse 26, God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Ruling over all the creatures sounds quite a responsibility, I think. Dear God, thank you for all living creatures, the wild ones and the ones we look after in our homes. May we do our best to live amongst them and protect their territories responsibly, and support all creature welfare organisations here and throughout the world. Amen.